Good morning or good afternoon if you're joining us from the East Coast. We will be getting underway here in just a moment, allowing a couple more minutes for some of the other attendees to join us. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us. We'll be right back. Thank you for taking the time once again out of your day to join us here for today's webinar session. Today we're going to be covering how to not get sued, dispensary marketing compliance. We'll get it started here in just a couple moments. We'll allow another minute or so for our attendees to join us, and we'll be right back. All right, great. Today's webinar will be covering how to not get sued, dispensary marketing compliance. Really, we're going to be sharing a lot of tips on how to avoid fines and keep your business license. Very, very important. Thank you once again for taking the time out of your morning if you are on the West Coast, out of your afternoon if you're in the East Coast to join us here today. Let's get started. So for today, we'll be covering which federal regulations apply to your marketing, how to create ads, emails, and texts that are compliant, the highest ROI compliant marketing solutions for dispensaries. And before we get started, just a quick disclaimer here, we are not lawyers. And if you want specific legal advice, speak to a cannabis attorney familiar with your state or province regulations for those specific advice, okay? My name is Eduardo Silva. I'm the VP of Sales here at Foot Traffic. Once again, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to attend this webinar. We'll be covering quite a bit of information today. But before doing so, a little bit of a background on Foot Traffic. If you're just becoming familiar with us, we are a dispensary digital marketing firm located in the United States. We have been in business for over 5 years now, solely focused in dispensary marketing. Started in Southern California during the medicinal legalization, and then eventually spreading throughout all of North America, helping all of our clients from every state in the U.S. as well as in Canada to provide cannabis compliant advertisement, okay, to increase clientele. So I really appreciate once again your time, and let's get ready for today's webinar. First, just a couple housekeeping items here. Cell phones, if you want to, I would certainly encourage face down on your desk so you don't get distracted. We're going to be covering a lot of content, and we're going to move fairly fast. Also, familiarize yourself with the Zoom interface. By now, I think we're all professionals, Zooms, right? But do note that there is a Q&A button on the top of the page. So where you see the Zoom dialog bar there, Q&A, once again, we do have panelists that will be helping us moderate any questions you have throughout the webinar. So you can ask questions there at any point in time without disrupting, as well as we will have a segment here towards the end where we'll also cover questions live. Make sure you do stick around. We do have a promotional offer for the attendees today, and we'll be sharing that towards the end of the webinar. So once again, thank you for your time. Let's go ahead and get started. Compliance. As a dispensary owner or chief marketing officer, you know there's a long list of regulations you have to deal with, from where you can set up a shop to what you have to report to your state or province. It's pretty easy to get lost in the weeds. No pun intended in the weed there, right? These regulations differ across state lines and even between cities in the same state, which can easily trip up a multi-location dispensary. At the same time, you need to ensure that your dispensary's digital presence is also compliant. Okay, here's the thing. While cannabis is prohibited at a federal level, there are still federal marketing and patient privacy laws that you need to comply with. We're going to dive into these first. The first, and you should possibly be familiar with this one, it's HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accounting Act, which governs the collection and use of protected health information. And if you are a medical dispensary or serve patients, you need to abide by it, okay? If you aren't HIPAA compliant, you may be fined from $100 all the way up to $50,000 per violation, with a maximum penalty of $1.5 million per year for the same violation. Violations can also carry criminal charges that can result in jail time. Patient privacy is super important under HIPAA, and the penalties prove that it is not something that you want to actually take lightly, okay? And be proactive about it. According to the CDC, to be compliant, you must ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of all electronic protected health information, detect and safeguard against anticipated threats to the security of the information, protect against anticipated impermissible uses or disclosures, and certified compliance by your workforce. So how do we do this? Basically, make sure the computers you are using to check in your patients verify their protection and recommendation and catalog their purchases is secure. Install antivirus software and run regular checks on your system to mitigate any chance of data breach. Anything that has potential identifying info should only be accessible to personnel in your staff that is trained in HIPAA. Teach your staff to close out windows immediately after viewing a patient's records so that no one else encounters data that shouldn't be accessible to them, okay? What about marketing? Well, you can certainly talk about the medicinal or medical conditions in your blogs and newsletters and even highlight patient stories. Just don't share personally identifiable information unless a patient has given you permission to do so. Even then, an alias is always a good idea. And here's a quick tip. Be careful with segmentation of patient information. While your state's database may give you info on a patient's medical condition or symptom, don't use this as a tool for segmenting them into different groups. Instead, ask patients to identify what they are interested in using cannabis for and segment them in that way, okay? That will allow you to, one, not disclose medical information through your segmentation. You're simply allowing your customers to share their data of interest, okay? So that makes it a lot more easy to actually market. For example, they can choose from general topics surrounding cannabis, such as anxiety, nausea, sleep, or pain relief, right? And then you can market based on that. Cannabis Act of 2003. So HIPAA is really just a way to prioritize medical records and dispensaries. The rest of the laws I will be covering are for all dispensaries. Let's turn to the Cannabis Act of 2003. And yes, the spam is the name refers to those annoying emails that clog your inbox, okay? So most email providers have processes in place to protect themselves and to some extent to protect you. However, you still need to be mindful when creating email campaigns so that you stay within CanSpam's regulations. When choosing an email platform, make sure that it has an obvious opt-in box or text, preferably with express consent, Collect your opt-outs and remove them from your mailing list. That's very important. And also ensure that he has an easy-to-see unsubscribe link. Not having these things in your email could lead to huge fines. You could be fined up to $16,000 for every email you send that isn't compliant. So if you have a list of 5,000 people, as an example, that could mean a fine up to $80 million, okay, if you can send them all with non-compliant emails. So be wary of that. Beyond the email platform, you should also stick to these best practices to avoid getting in trouble. Only email those who have opted to receiving messages from you. Do not go out there and buy lists of emails, right? This is something that foot traffic takes really seriously when we work with our clients, and we help our customers create opt-in to grow their customer base so that they have a loyalty system in place so they can email customers as well as text message, right? Also, remove contacts who ask to be removed from your list. This is very important. During the opt-in process, be clear about how often you send messages and what will be in those messages, and then stick to that. Send emails with clear subject lines. Misleading ones will get you into trouble. Always identify yourself or your company in the from line, and have an accurate business address in your email. Control who has access to your email list is also beyond important, and you don't want someone else to send a non-compliant email on your behalf, right? Because that will also be a breach of the canned spam. Set a strong password for your email account so you don't get into trouble for a hacker's actions, right? If somebody hacks into your email list, voila, you can find yourself into trouble. And even if you're headquartered outside of the U.S., if you are using a U.S.-based email marketing company or are primarily sending emails to U.S. addresses, you need to comply with canned spam, or you may face large fines as well. CASL, the Canadian dispensaries, have to deal with CASL. And this really is called the Fighting Internet and Wireless Spam Act, also known as CASL. Is the equivalent of Canned Spam Act in the United States. So if you are located in Canada or are thinking about expanding your business into Canada, you should follow the Canned Spam best practices in order to protect yourself. CASL essentially requires all of the same things. And to be honest, if you want to build a lasting relationship with your email subscribers, following our best practices is just the best way to build trust and provide value long term. So state dispensary marketing laws. In addition to federal marketing and privacy laws, U.S. dispensaries must also abide by state dispensary and marketing laws. Each state has its own laws that govern cannabis. Some states that it is like they treat it like tobacco or alcohol, and other states they actually are more strict than those specific regulations. Depending on your state, you may have to add your dispensary license number to your digital ads. Steer clear of stating the benefits of cannabis in any of your marketing and refrain from certain types of advertisement. For example, some states don't allow you to use billboards while others are fine with it. Most states do ask that your ads appear very clearly to audiences that are at least 72% of that audience target 21 and above. So that's very important, right? You need to understand your overall demographics. Several states have restrictions on how you can talk about cannabis. For example, Washington State doesn't want you to discuss the benefits of cannabis. Other states caution against spreading misinformation or marketing cannabis appealing to children. Before creating an ad campaign, make sure to check against your state law or province's requirements to avoid putting your license in jeopardy. The Cannabis Act. In Canada, the Cannabis Act lays out strict marketing prohibitions for dispensaries across the country. Currently, cannabis retailers cannot use celebrities to endorse their products. feature customer testimonials. Make false, misleading, or deceptive statements or statements about the quality or efficiency of their product. Use people, characters, or animal mascots to market their products. Print advertisements. That's pretty challenging, right? Advertise using foreign media. Sponsor events. Offer inductments with purchases. So like no raffle tickets with a purchase, for example. Have window displays or other displays that may be seen by kids. So what is allowed, right? Swag that doesn't appeal to kids. So think of brand logos on a t-shirt maybe, or informational promotion. How then can dispensaries market themselves in Canada? I mean, Business 101 is all about differentiating yourself from the competition. If you can't advertise in regular ways, how can you build a loyalty, within your customer base? The focus really needs to be an informational promotion. That means that you should strive to educate your target audience without overly promoting your products. We found the best way for many Canadian cannabis dispensaries to reach their target audience is through digital marketing. By focusing on, let's say, a strong SEO practice and sharing reliable, usable information on your website that adds value to your customers' lives, you can help create a loyalty amongst your following, and then keep them coming back when they need some more bud, right? With digital marketing, you can create an online presence that will draw your target audience to you and help you build that brand loyalty long term. So data compliance best practices. If you are confused about how to remain compliant and remember all of these, don't worry. We have some additional best practices for you. So first, make clear processes. Have a process in place to help ensure compliance at every stage. For example, during the data collection period, data storage, and the data use. Ensure that everyone that needs to have access to your process can find it quickly and get the answers they need so their activities are in line with the company's policy. Use an age gate, website disclaimer, and privacy policy. Make sure that you are doing what you can to limit underage visitors to your website. Use an age gate and have a website disclaimer on the bottom of your homepage that indicates that your website should not be used by those who are not of age. If your state requires it, you will also want to have your cannabis disclaimers in the footer as well. Share your privacy policy on your website. Wherever you ask for information, like any opt-in forms, let your customers know exactly how their info will be used. This isn't overkill. This is protecting yourself and making sure that you're keeping your license in check, okay? Also, get express consent. When collecting emails or phone numbers, make sure that the opt-in process is clear. For example, if you're collecting phone numbers, you can ask customers to send a text to a short code with a particular phrase to opt in. This counts as express consent. The first text they receive should let the client know how many messages to expect from you and how to unsubscribe as well. Make it clear. Who are you, right? Your email should have your dispensary's name and address at the bottom. If you're sending a text, you should also identify your dispensary. For example, here's a text, right? Save $10 on 2 Cresco cartridges when you stop by Herbology today. Reserve yours now. Double check. Service providers can be a useful resource to identify how your marketing can be compliant, but it's up to you to ensure that your messages meet the legal guidelines. For example, even if you are using your MailChimp to share your email addresses and unsubscribe info, you need to verify this yourself. Ultimately, you will be held responsible if it's missing, not the service provider. Also set up a Google alert. Stay on top of any changes of regulations by setting up a Google alert. For example, if you're following the status of Illinois Data Transparency Act privacy, right, and Privacy Act, set an alert so you are notified of any changes to the law that may affect your dispensary in the end of the day. So let's jump into compliant ways to advertise your business online, starting with search engine optimization, or what's referred to as SEO. Now, I'm starting with SEO not only because it's a crucial tool for getting your website in front of potential customers, but also because there are no regulations or restrictions against doing SEO. So whether you're in Orlando or Ontario, you can confidently start an SEO strategy that makes your website easier to find and score more visitors. SEO is the practice of increasing the quality and quantity of traffic to your website through organic search results. This is unpaid traffic that comes in from Google. When customers want to find a dispensary near them, they turn to search, and Google is actually probably top of mind. If you want to show up in those search results, then you must have a robust SEO strategy and a team to implement it. Otherwise, searchers will just not find you, right? And they will be veered towards your competition. When you have a good SEO strategy, two things are going to happen. One, you will show up higher in the search results, and two, you will get more organic traffic. Right now, the top three results of a search tend to get 75% of all organic traffic. The lower you are on the search result, the less traffic you will get. So why does this matter? Because organic traffic is one of the most dependable sources of traffic and revenue for any business. Thanks to the actual part of search engine optimization here, which is called optimizing, your traffic will be relevant and high quality. These are people who are already looking for you. They're looking for your product, and they're interested in what you have to sell. Our SEO clients see an increase in ROI on their investment. And in fact, many of our customers, some of the top performing ones, are amounting to nearly 70% of their e-commerce revenue are coming from this SEO practice. Some are even getting as high as $93 in return for every dollar spent in SEO. Again, this is completely compliant, and it's a way to increase your visibility and get more traffic to your website and thus more sales. In addition to your age gate, we will verify the age for the data we collect via our Google Analytics information as well, right? So we actually tie that directly to your website and make sure that you get all of that reporting. Geo Ads. Geo advertisement is the use of display ads on mobile devices within certain geographical area. Geo Ads allow you to connect with new customers right where they are. With the record increase in internet use because of COVID, online display ads can help you keep your dispensary front and center. And we have a network of compliant cannabis-friendly sites and apps that allows us to share your display ads and drive sales. If you actually have tried getting ads on a website or an app before, you know just how hard it can be to find cannabis-friendly sites that will host your ads. You can use Geo Ads to advertise directly to people within your delivery area or near your dispensary. Target areas and groups of people who are more likely to be interested in your dispensary or delivery service. Once they enter one of the perimeters you've created for your ads, they will see your ads if they use one of the mobile sites or apps within our network. One of the biggest problems facing dispensaries is the lack of compliant ways to advertise. And our Geo Ads service not only addresses this concern, but also makes the whole process really easy. We can create the ads for you in a way that it is compliant within your state or province. For example, display ads in California must include a dispensary license number on them. Each state has its own minimum age requirement for percentage of traffic on apps and websites that must be 21 plus to deliver cannabis ads on that platform. We abide by the age restriction regulation on a state-by-state basis so that we are only delivering your ads on the age-compliant apps and websites. and sites that do not meet the state's requirements are blacklisted. On the consumer side, it cross-reference purchase data, census data, voter file, right, location visitation, and more to ensure the consumers we are delivering ads to meet the actual age requirement itself. This is all in addition to the fact that the majority of audiences we utilize target customers who previously visited a dispensary or purchased cannabis online before. And then Google Ads, the last digital advertisement service I want to cover today is Google Ads. Google Ads is pay-per-click advertisement hosted on the world's most popular search engine. It lets you get your ad right above search results. The number one question we get about Google Ads is, can dispensaries advertise on Google Ads? And thankfully, the answer is yes. Although it's not that clear, there are restrictions, and it's crucial that you work with a team like Foot Traffic that has a clear track record of leveraging Google Ads for our clients. It is also important to note that 93% of all internet searches in North America is done via Google, making this the most valuable tool for your dispensary. It's the most used search tool actually in the world, and it's actually the one that's most popular amongst your customers as well. If you have your ad set up right, you can start appealing to potential customers who are looking for dispensaries near them and send them directly to your menu. Part of the reason that Google Ads is such a high ROI for our clients is that you're advertising to people who are already interested in your service. Our customers have made on average of $48 for every dollar spent on Google Ads. And Foot Traffic is the leader in Google Ads management for dispensaries in North America. We manage north of $1 million worth of advertisement spent annually. And we do this in a compliant fashion by targeting an audience who are of age using Google Ads, right? And so we also integrate that directly to your website and track all of that information for you. So what about social? Now, you may be wondering, can I do marketing over social media? And well, unfortunately, you cannot use Facebook or Instagram ads to advertise your dispensary. However, you can have a social media account that focuses on brand awareness. And to avoid getting shut down, though, you have to be careful. We actually just did a webinar on the do's and don'ts of Instagram for dispensaries last week. So feel free to navigate to foottraffic.co/webinars to check it out. And we'll put that link also here on the chat window for you. Okay, so that link again, foottraffic.co/webinars. Check out the webinar on the do's and don'ts of Instagram for dispensary marketing. So let's talk about how you can actually get started. I hope that first and foremost, this information helped you better understand the difference in regulations that affect dispensaries and also digital marketing. And to help you get started with compliant digital marketing, we have a special deal for you as a first-time customer. So we are offering a free trial of Google Ads, meaning we will not charge you for your advertisement campaign. This is to simply give you an introduction to compliant advertisement, once again, anywhere in North America. And if you are interested, please do feel free to reach out to us. So that is a free trial of Google Ads, right, to get you started advertising. We'll also insert here a link how to get started talking to us so we can get you set up. I want to open up for questions, but we are running a little short on time. Any questions from the audience? I'm happy to address those now, or we can also take them and address them offline. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sticking around. And once again, we really appreciate your time and dedication. And if you do want to get started with a free trial of Google Ads, feel free to get in touch with us. We have put a link here in the chat window, foottraffic.me/call, and we'll get you set up today. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and thank you again.